Hello everyone, my name is Liang Chunling, I'm from Northwest ANF University. Today is my pleasure to introduce the paper submitted to iMeta. The title is Smaller Microorganisms Outcompete Larger Ones in Resistance and Functional Effects Under Disturbed Agricultural Ecosystems. The complex soil system holds a large number of soil organisms with different body sizes and serves as a regulatory center for most ecosystem functions. However, we lack a comprehensive understanding of how body size influence community stability among distinct groups of soil microorganisms in agricultural ecosystems under ongoing environmental changes. Two particular hypotheses, the size plasticity and size dispersal hypotheses, emphasize metabolic strategies and dispersal abilities, respectively, in structuring communities composed of different sizes of organisms. According to the size plasticity hypothesis, smaller organisms may have greater metabolic plasticity and greater environmental tolerance. To test this assumption, we considered two different crop types, including maize, dryland, and rice, wetland, to investigate the resistance and mechanism of microorganisms with different sizes to various environmental disturbances in agricultural ecosystems. Soils were incubated to simulate expected impacts from warming and addition, nitrogen, phosphorus. Following incubation, we acquired soil bacterial, fungal, and protist diversity information based on high-throughput sequencing of 16S and 18S rRNA genes, and identified the body size of 24 groups on the basis of literature. Here, we address the following question. If smaller microorganisms were more resistant than larger organisms in disturbed environments, whether the maintenance of ecosystem functions depended largely on the smaller microorganisms when disturbances cease? We observed that the resistance was significantly and negatively related to the body sizes across 24 selected organism groups in both maize and rice soil. These findings suggested that smaller microorganisms are arguably more adaptive to environmental disturbances than larger organisms. But what makes the smaller microorganisms more resistant to environmental perturbations? It was observed that the Shannon index and niche breadth were markedly negatively correlated with body size, and both of them were positively correlated with community resistance. More coexisting species are expected to offer greater buffer action to protect ecosystem against functional decline when faced with environmental changes. In addition, the niche concept is a key focus in estimating the risk of whole community collapse under ever-changing environments, and communities with higher niche widths are considered to be more environmentally resistant. Our results showed that community stochasticity gradually decreased with increasing organism body size. That is, the smallest microorganisms, bacteria, were more regulated by stochastic processes while larger ones, fungi and protists, were more influenced by deterministic processes. Furthermore, the linear fitting model a negative correlation relationship between the proportion of generalists and body size, which means that smaller microorganisms often tend to play the role of generalists in agricultural ecosystem. Therefore, smaller microorganisms mostly consisting of a high proportion of generalists can better cope with environmental filtering and meet community stability in fluctuating environments. Interestingly, in the control group, we observed that the smaller the body size, the weaker the relationship of soil microorganisms and ecosystem functions. But after suffering various environmental changes, we found that the relationship between smaller microorganisms and ecosystem functions improves, but that in larger organisms diminishes distinctly. Accordingly, we conclude that smaller microorganisms may have a much bigger potential to deploy dormancy strategies, thereby ensuring the widespread and persistent existence of them in changing environment. Overall, our study demonstrates that smaller microorganisms exhibit a stronger resistance to the disturbed environments of agricultural soil and generally outcompete larger organisms. Compared with larger organisms, smaller microorganisms utilize more species diversity and a wide niche breadth to deploy survival strategies, making less affected by environmental selection and thus existing steadily in a complicated and various environment. In addition, the strong correlation between smaller microorganisms and ecosystem functions reflects their greater metabolic flexibility and illustrate their significant roles in adaptation to continuously changed environments. This is the end of my speech. Thank you for listening.